Hello friends, this is your friend back with a new fanfic, What If Naruto x Kushina x Love Story Part 3. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, emotions are growing stronger than ever. The bond between Naruto and Kushina is becoming harder to hide, and every moment together is slowly changing both their hearts. Now, let's start. She didn't increase her soft bouncing for the next few minutes. She kept the same extremely slow bump and grind. Naruto was breathing hard and was leaking precum all over the back of her dress. Without diverting her attention from the computer screen, she flipped up her dress and sat her panty covered down on his lap. Kushina let her dress flow down as she opened a few more pictures. "How about this one? I'm not sure if your father would approve," she said, pretending to ignore her. "Honey bunny, you're not helping me. You need to focus. Do you need to go release yourself in the bathroom?" "Okay sweetie. If you need to use me as a jack-off toy to drain those nuts, just like mommy no," Kushina said nonchalantly while looking back at the computer. Naruto suddenly lifted her off his lap and carried her out of the computer room in a hurry. Kushina giggled playfully as she was hoisted over his broad shoulders. Moments later, "Use me baby. Use my cunt. Make me scream." Kushina screamed as she was on the receiving end of an extremely hard pounding. Naruto, his hot Stepford mother with everything he had. Kushina was bent over the ottoman with her leg together in the living room. Still fully dressed in her polka-dot blue dress, he and her skirt hiked up over her hips. He grabbed her shoulders roughly for added support. His pelvis slapped against her painfully hard. The ottoman jerked forward a bit with every one of his slams. Her pink headband was falling off her head more and more with each hard thrust. Kushina loved being manhandled like this. Naruto loved his mother's soft facial features, so he flipped her on her back. She immediately spread her luscious legs far, still wearing the 6 inches pair of high heels. Like a jackrabbit, Naruto got on top of her and started ramming her fast. Kushina felt him touch the bottom and plow away at her cervix. After all this teasing, she knew he would give her a huge load. "Oh baby, you are mommy so good." Her deep screams filled the living room. While his gorgeous mother had a missionary style, Naruto leaned in close to her face. Kushina's mouth was slightly open while moaning and breathing heavily. He stared at her full red lips and warm wet tongue in her mouth. She noticed him staring at her as if he was possessed. Possessed by her glowing beauty. It was then that Kushina opened her mouth and stuck out her tongue as far as it would go. Her eyes got round and her facial impressions said, "Please blow your load in my mouth," with one simple look. If anyone has seen one of Ashley Sinclair's tongue-mouth fetish videos, you have an idea of what Kushina's wide-open teasing mouth looked like. She held her mouth open like that for close to a minute while Naruto worked hard. Naruto moaned, "Oh my god," under his breath over and over again while staring down his mother's open throat. Her nasty tongue began to drool saliva down her chin and it was driving him crazy. "Treat me like a fuck doll. Your Stepford mommy," she said innocently. She opened her mouth extra wide again. "Pound, pound, pound, pound. Baby, am I a perverted mother?" she asked innocently and stuck out her tongue again. "Pound, pound, pound, pound." Naruto was ready to blow a huge load, but he prolonged it to hear his mother talk dirty to him. He never realized he had a mouth fetish until now. Kushina played up to his newly discovered fetish while keeping her legs spread and mouth opened wide. "Pound, pound, pound, pound. I want to be a cum dumpster for you, son. Only you. Your personal whore. Your incestuous sperm-eating Stepford mommy." Kushina then opened her mouth extremely wide and stuck out her tongue once again. Again, a look that reminded him where she wanted him to shoot his pent-up cum load. "Oh god mom, you're so perfect." Naruto pulled out and shuffled up to his mother's inviting mouth. He quickly laid his head on her warm wet tongue and immediately exploded. Naruto yelled as he drained his balls. Keeping his eyes on the scene directly below him, he watched himself piss stream after stream of jizz into her wide-open mouth. Kushina looked up at him with wickedly lustful eyes. "Stay just like that mom," Naruto said as he continued jacking off really hard, making sure every shot went perfectly in between her full lips. As he finished up his orgasm, he rolled off and laid down next to his mother. Kushina swallowed his heavy deposit, turned her son and stuck out her tongue to show him that there wasn't a drop left. She got up and steadied herself carefully on her high heels. Her legs were a bit weak from the latest session with her beautiful boy. That is when she noticed his son still hard staring up at her. A few minutes later, Kushina was sitting on the dining room table, legs spread, and her arms propping herself up from behind her. Her wavy red hair draped in front of her breathtaking facial features. Naruto with slow steady strokes this time. Her tits bounced up and down to the rhythm of his thrusts. Kushina saw her phone light up next to her. While Naruto pumped away at her tight, juicy Kushina reached down to reach the text on her phone. The text was from Minato. They are, about, 15 minutes away. Kushina stumbled heavily due to another approaching orgasm. Instead, he lifted her legs onto his shoulders and began ramming her harder. "Oh, baby, that feels amazing," Kushina said as she dropped the phone. Naruto leaned close to her so that his face was inches off her bouncing breast. Naruto felt his nuts begin to quake and tighten. Kushina lifted Naruto's chin so that she could kiss him. They kissed heavily as Naruto's thrusts got harder, but he didn't quicken his pace. He pulled all the way out to the tip, waited a moment, and slammed back home. Each one of his slams caused Kushina to whimper with pleasure while she continued to kiss him deeply. They hugged each other tightly as their bodies went into automatic. Kushina lovingly kissed and licked his face almost like a cat in heat. Naruto slid himself as deep as he could into his mother's twat and released another gooey load. Not breaking their love-filled kissing, Kushina began tearing from the sheer pleasure of feeling her son's large manly twitch and bust deep inside of her. One last orgasm burst within Kushina. Feeling his mother's body tense up, Naruto stayed balls deep inside her. The next day, the whole family celebrated Naruto's birthday. Kushina prepared a big feast including Naruto's favorite, baked lamb chops. Kushina dressed in a short denim skirt and a tight long-sleeve top. Her tits ballooned out and it was very hard for Naruto to keep his eyes off of her. Every now and again, the sexy mother would give Naruto erotic stares and winks. Naruto knew he had to contain himself and couldn't do anything obvious. Everyone was located on the patio as Kushina began telling the story of when she first brought home Naruto when he was a baby. And he was the cutest baby. He had every nurse in the ward asking if they could keep him. I told them since he just put me through 18 hours of labor, I'll consider it. Mom, don't mom me. In the first couple of weeks, you didn't let your father or I sleep one bit. Everyone laughed and shared their favorite stories of Naruto growing up. A few minutes later, "Hun, can you help me in the kitchen for a second?" Kushina asked Naruto. "Sure," Naruto said as he walked around his Aunt Mito. Kushina and Naruto made their way into the kitchen. She glanced out the window at everyone laughing outside on the patio. "Here is the deal. I volunteered to take everyone down to the hotel later tonight. You say you want to come along for the ride. You understand? All right. But, no buts. Mommy has your birthday gift, but it isn't something I can give you in front of the family. If you know what I mean." "What is it?" Naruto asked, assuming she would tell him since they were alone. "Just plan on not getting much sleep tonight. That's all I am saying," Kushina said confidently as she walked past her son and out the back door. The party lasted well into the evening. Kushina arranged for the extended family to stay at the Hilton downtown. "Kushina dear, it's getting late, do you think you could drop us off at the hotel soon?" Minato's mom asked while finishing up the last of her wine. "Sure mom, let's go, everyone." Naruto says goodbye to everyone. Kushina yelled for her son to come in from the living room. Usually it would take a miracle to pry Naruto away from playing Xbox, but after hearing his mother's yell, Naruto jumped up eagerly and met everyone outside. "Mom, can I come along for the ride? I want to pick up a few things while we are out." Naruto said eagerly. "Sure. In fact, you could even drive. I just have to go get my purse." "Minato, we'll be back soon. I wouldn't wait until you are tired," Kushina said as she leaned in and gave Minato a kiss on his forehead. A short time later, Kushina and the family arrived at the hotel. Everyone got their stuff out of the truck and they all said their goodbyes. "Good night. Now remember, Minato will be here in the morning to take you all to the airport," Kushina said to the bunch. "Happy birthday Naruto," everyone said as they made their way into the hotel. Kushina got into the passenger seat while waving goodbye. "Did you have a fun day today, baby? Are you kidding mom? Today was the best. That's great honey. Now drive around to the back of the hotel. Why, what's the matter? Naruto asked, confused. Just do it. It's only 9 p.m. You still have another 3 hours left for your birthday. Kushina said as she got out a hotel key out of her purse. I told your dad not to wait up. In fact, I bet you that he is sleeping already. Knowing that his day was about to get even better, Naruto quickly drove behind the hotel and found a parking spot. Kushina grabbed her large Under Armour duffel bag that she had in the truck. You planned all of this, didn't you mom? Of course. What kind of mother would I be if I didn't help my son comb his brains out on his own birthday? Kushina said matter-of-factly. Naruto's spine tingled and he began to fill with blood. Kushina even planned so that the family all had rooms on the second floor and she purchased a suite on the top level of the hotel. It was considered the honeymoon suite and had its own separate elevator access with a special key. While in the elevator, the mother and son stood close to each other. Kushina tilted her head and rested it on Naruto's broad shoulder. What's in the bag mom? You'll soon see my big boy. I just hope you like it. Once they reached the top level, Kushina took Naruto's hand and led him to their suite. Once inside, Naruto immediately went out to the balcony to admire the view over the town. Wow mom, you can see the whole town from here. Holy shit, there is a hot tub too. Naruto said with excitement. Only the best for my man. Here, I packed you a pair of dry-fit Nike shorts. Get comfortable. Mommy is going to get changed. Kushina said as she handed him the shorts, and then gave him a soft kiss on the cheek. Naruto watched his mother turn around and walk towards the bathroom. He quickly took off his jeans and boxers. He decided to just wear the shorts without any underwear. His getting hard quickly as he continued staring at his mother walking away. In the bathroom, Kushina analyzed herself in the mirror. I still got it, she said to herself and she did a cute little spin. It had been 18 years since her last paid modeling gig. She made the decision to give it all up so that she could have a family and to become a fitness instructor. She slowly rolled up a pair of white, slightly opaque thigh highs over her long luscious legs. The stockings were trimmed at the top with a little red bow. Kushina reached into her bag and pulled out a fresh new pair of white cotton panty briefs. The white matched her thigh highs perfectly. The back side of the panties gripped and hugged her wonderfully. She continued emptying her bag and sorting out the materials. Naruto was sitting on the bed for what seemed like an eternity to him. He was extremely stiff in his dry-fit shorts. He played around in shorts as he paced around with anticipation. A few more minutes passed as Kushina made sure she was perfectly ready to face her son. For a couple of moments, Kushina looked at herself in the mirror and applied some additional black eyeliner and another coat of red lipstick. She arranged her hair more to match her outfit. To add more eye candy, she lowered her top a bit further and hoisted her tits higher. Her cleavage ballooned and put a tremendous amount of stress on the buttons of her shirt. She was beside herself with desire, lust, and love as she took a deep breath. Are you ready baby? Kushina called out from the bathroom. Naruto's shorts were tenting obscenely as he hopped into the king-size bed. He jumped on the bed and propped himself up against the headboard. Kushina opened the bathroom door and walked out. The 39-year-old mother stepped forward and her son's heart nearly seized up. Kushina was dressed up like a schoolgirl. White thigh highs, white panties, short red plaid skirt, and a white sleeveless t-shirt tied up showing her perfectly sculpted abs. Not to mention, she even had on red heels to match her skirt and the bows in her hair. Her hair was braided into pigtails as her skirt barely covered her mound. The stockings rode extremely high her legs and stretched perfectly over her muscular juicy thighs. What do you think? Do you like your schoolgirl mommy? Kushina said innocently. I. Naruto couldn't form a sentence. That's what I thought. I knew once you saw your old mother in this, that you would be rock hard. Kushina said with confidence. She noticed his bobbing up and down in his shorts. I took 20 minutes to get ready for you and I see it only takes you seconds to get ready for me. Naruto fished his straining out of his shorts, causing him to sigh with relief. Kushina walked over slowly to the end of the bed. Gee mister, what's that? Is that for me? Kushina said in her best innocent schoolgirl voice. Naruto jumped up towards her. He stood up next to his schoolgirl mommy. Don't hurt me. Please be gentle. Mom, I love you in this. You look so hot. Oh, you said a bad word. Daddy said to stay away from bad boys who say bad words. Are you a bad boy? Naruto reached out and bent Kushina over the end of the bed. Kushina quipped her hands in front of her so that she could keep her balance. Her arched out and her skirt rode up, exposing her white panties. The underwear covered her hole, but the material was stretching over her boner, inducing Naruto's hands immediately began groping and squeezing. You are so incredibly sexy. Kushina turned around, jumped onto the bed, and landed on her back. She spread her legs and planted her feet width apart. What is that? Is that a fun game? Kushina said, staying in character. Naruto got extremely turned on and dove between her delicious legs. He buried his nose into her white cotton panties. He could smell her musky scent through the underwear and could feel that she was already soaking wet. Mom, I didn't know you were into role-playing, Naruto said as he pawed at her tiny white briefs. I didn't know either. But it's fun, right? You can dress your mommy up in anything you want, baby. As long as you give me that big of yours. Kushina grabbed her son and flipped him onto his back. She grabbed his protruding at the base so it stood straight up. Happy birthday, my son, Kushina said warmly. Naruto, filled with lust, grabbed his mother by her pigtails and pushed her head down onto his lap. Kushina began hard on Naruto's large throbbing boner. She bobbed her head at a lightning pace, jamming his down her throat. Naruto watched in awe. Kushina used her hands to steady herself on his hips as she used only her mouth to deep-throat him. Your mouth is so warm and wet. This is already the best birthday ever. Kushina quipped her head up off to catch her breath. An unbroken string of saliva formed from the tip of his and the edge of her mouth. Staring down, she watched it bob and pulsate. She dove back down on it quickly, giving another good minute of hard. Then she repositioned her body so that she was between his legs looking up at him. Kushina attacked her son's heavy nuts with her tongue while jerking up and down. Naruto reached again for Kushina pigtails and used them as he guided her head around his soaked groin. He felt her pop his balls in her mouth, hard, and then pop them back out. She repeated this over and over, occasionally lapping her wet tongue from the bottom of the ball sack to the top of his bloated head. With her lips pressed against her son's groin and his lodged deep in her throat, the sexy mother reached down and pulled off her panties. She backed up so that only her mouth was around the head when Kushina wrapped the soft cotton panties around Naruto's shaft and jerked him hard. Naruto looked down at his mother dressed in a schoolgirl outfit, completely worshipping. He knew he wouldn't last that long if he let her continue her attack on his member. However, he couldn't stop her. It felt too good to make her slow down. Mom, you have to slow down or I am going. OGGGGAAAAWWWDDDDD. Kushina doubled down her assault. Without stopping her hard, she slipped her panties off and handed it to her son while not letting up, bobbing her head from the tip back down to the base. The entire bed rocked as Naruto began moving his hips to meet Kushina's. Wet noises and Naruto's heavy breathing filled the room. Then Naruto brought his mother's panties to his nose and breathed them in. Naruto said into the white boy's short panties. Naruto closed his eyes and every muscle in his body tensed up. Kushina put her hands on Naruto's large ball sack. She gave him a few more hard hits until she felt his balls begin to constrict. Ah, Mom, Naruto said as he needed one more out of her to reach the point of no return. Kushina had her son right on the edge of coming hard, but lifted her mouth off just at the right time. Naruto opened his eyes to see his drooling pre-cum and his busty red-headed mother smiling right back at him. She was breathing hard as drool was running down her chin and down to the top of her cleavage. She was insatiable. Jesus Mom, I was so close. Why did you stop? Naruto said, squirming in place. She sat there for a moment to feel his girth filling her up. It was a feeling like no other. Her 18-year-old son was right back where he belongs. There you go, sweetie. Just relax. Mommy's here. I don't want to blow your load right away. Still completely dressed in her schoolgirl outfit, Kushina began pumping and gliding her mature hips on top of her big boy. I want you to build up a nice big juicy cum load for me. Aw shit. Naruto yelled and grabbed her hips to prevent her from moving. Almost coming again from her nasty dirty talk, he let the feeling subside before continuing as he kept her body from moving. Don't move, Mom. Fuck, Naruto said as he gritted his teeth. fighting off the urge to blow his load. "Does mommy have you all hot and bothered, sweetie?" Kushina giggled as she began bouncing slowly again. Her big round tits were spilling out of her tight top. The knot that tied her shirt under her breasts was holding on for dear life. Kushina grabbed onto her son's shoulders to give him more leverage. The headboard of the bed slammed against the wall for a few minutes. Kushina looked down at her son and began tearing up. She loved that they were so comfortable with their new sexual relationship. "Mom, I love you," Naruto said, staring up at his glowing schoolgirl mommy. Kushina leaned in and passionately French kissed her son while rocking her hips back and forth. This lasted for a few minutes until Kushina's whole body began to quake. She grinded herself faster and faster. "Baby, I am coming really hard," Kushina whispered with mouth pressed right against Naruto's lips. For a good minute, Kushina's orgasm caused to gush all over Naruto's, then she began to slow down so that she could feel every inch of her baby boy's hard. "Wow honey. That was fucking incredible. But, now that I have you really hard, my sexy stud, I have another present for you." Kushina lifted her body off her son and Naruto slapped hard against his stomach. He stared at her skirt that barely reached the bottom of her round, plump cheeks. She walked to the bathroom and came back with a bottle of baby oil. She turned around so that her bubble butt was facing him and she lifted the plaid skirt to the top of her hips. She poured a great amount of baby oil all over her cheeks and in her deep crack. Naruto grabbed and slowly stroked at the site in front of him. "Mom." Kushina hopped back onto the bed but laid down on her stomach and put a pillow underneath her hips. She slowly lifted just her hips and in the air while keeping her tits and upper body down on the she said as wiggled her heart-shaped bottom at him. "Are you serious, Mom?" Naruto said as he jumped up and began to feel her lower back and oily meat. "Use a lot of lube, Pookie. It's been a really long time since I've been this way. I never thought you would go for it. Oh my god, you look so good. I just figured this would be another way for you to get all your nasty urges out of your system. A guy like you needs to be with a woman that allows him access to all of her dirty holes." Kushina said with a smirk. "Naruto, look at the time, it's 10:47 p.m. Kushina said surprisingly. Naruto lifted his head out of his mother's oil-slicked backside. "Exactly 19 years ago to the minute, you were born, baby. Happy birthday, baby," she said as she turned her head towards her only child. "Here is my way of saying thank you, mommy," Naruto said jokingly. Naruto moved up and mounted his mom with her arched high in the air. He used his right hand to angle his downwards and into his mother's sloppy cunt. He immediately laid down on her back as the weight of his muscular body caused her body to lay flat. "OMMMMYYYYYGG GUA DDDDD." Kushina quailed as Naruto sank as deep as he could go. "I love you so much, Mom. Thank you so much for the best birthday ever." Naruto began his mother as hard as he could. He slammed his groin into her backside and dug in. "Come again for me, Mom. You deserve it. Women like you need to be treated like the beautiful goddesses that you are." Naruto away like a jackrabbit. Kushina's mouth hung open as her body was being used like a ragdoll. "I need you to come for me, Mom." Kushina yelled as another orgasm approached quickly. "You like it hard, mommy. Come for me. Your body belongs to me tonight," Naruto said confidently. "Not just tonight, honey. Forever and always." Kushina screamed as she felt herself explode. She buried her face into the pillow and screamed again. Then Kushina began to squirt all over the bed and Naruto's. Naruto slid his out of her squirting and slapped her hard. He then pressed his bloated head against. With the combination of juice, oil, and animal lust, Naruto was able to ease right down to the root of her butt. Kushina let out a deep grunt, turned her head, and looked at her son. Naruto yelled and had to stop moving because he felt himself beginning to cum. He squeezed his hard rod like a vice grip. The pleasure was so intense that any movement at all would have made him shoot his balls. He slammed his fist down on the bed and breathed hard. He rested his forehead on the back of his mother's head. The smell of her hair instantly transported him to when he was a young kid. Her scent and voice gave him a nostalgic reaction. He reached over to the bottle of baby oil and squirted about a quarter of the bottle all over her upper legs and lower back. The oil was soaking into her thigh-highs and school skirt. "Do it, baby," Kushina whimpered loudly. Naruto his mother's harder and harder as the bed continued to shake faster and faster. Pound, 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 Pound. Kushina's flesh rippled as Naruto's hips smashed into her. He glided in and out really fast, thanks to the generous helping of baby oil and juice. The hotel room was quickly converting into a scene that you only find in the dirtiest porno movies. Jesus Christ, baby. Don't stop. Kushina yelled as she came hard. Her body went into a violent convulsion. Mom, I've been so horny all day. I don't think I am going to last much longer. You are so tight. Honey, let me up. I want to make you explode with my mouth and tits. You mean with your whore's mouth, Naruto said confidently as he put a thumb along her red lips. Kushina began to touch her son's thumb. Your doll is going to make those large balls of yours squirt hard. Do you think you can give your mommy every drop? Kushina asked innocently. Kushina untied the knot in her white schoolgirl top and her perfect round E-cup tits hung beautifully. Her entire body was covered in oil except for her tits, so she used her hands to spread the slick goo all over her thick chest. Naruto sat on the edge of the bed with his head pointing towards the ceiling, as Kushina got on her knees. She scooted forward, grabbed a hold of her tits in her wet hands, and engulfed Naruto's hard between them. Let your mother milk you properly. My tits are your playground right now, sweetie. Kushina said while bouncing her tits at an ungodly speed. God, Mom. So good. Naruto said, breathing rapidly. You like when I jack you off with my big mommy tits. Dressed as your naughty schoolgirl, slamming her big breasts down on your hard boner. Maybe I should dress up for you more often. Maybe a naughty sperm clinic nurse. You can give your nurse your thick creamy samples. How about your whore cheerleader? A naughty uniform while I hold onto a pair of pom-poms. Kushina said in the most seductive voice imaginable. Naruto felt like he was going to pass out from pleasure. Kushina tightened her grip around Naruto's hard, focusing on the tip of the sensitive. All of a sudden, Naruto reached up and grabbed his mother by the back of her head and pushed her face down forcefully. She gladly opened her mouth and allowed Naruto to her face as needed. Gak, 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 gak. Kushina's head flew up and down at lightning speed. Naruto was clearly using her mouth to jack off. Her hands quickly went to the top of Naruto's thick thighs to secure herself from falling forward. He grabbed her long pigtails and let out a deep primal groan. I'm cummmmmminnggggggmmoomm. Naruto almost cried. Kushina shot her face up off Naruto's and looked at him with the dirtiest look she could muster up. Beat off on my face, baby. Kushina yelled as she sat back on her heels. Naruto's hand quickly grabbed and began jacking off hard and fast. His fist flew up and down and he rubbed in his mother's saliva and baby oil. Kushina tilted her head back and stayed perfectly still. Her son stood up tall and aimed at her, and stared down at her beautiful face. The combination of her outfit, dirty talk, and the devilish look in her eyes sealed the deal and he exploded hard. The force of Naruto's first shot of cum was so hard that it hit Kushina's forehead and almost bounced back and hit him on the leg. Naruto unloaded all the contents of his balls on his mother's perfect face. 4, 5, 6, and then 7 large heavy ropes of jizz shot out and landed all over her face. Quickly, there was not a dry spot on Kushina's smiling face. She stayed perfectly still, never flinching or closing her eyes. She lived to watch her son's face as he blasted his nuts. Jesus, Mom. I don't think I've cum so hard in my life, Naruto said as he finished jerking out a few last drops onto his mother's face. Wow, honey. You really had a lot of cum backed up in there. Naruto exhaled loudly and fell back onto the bed. Kushina got up and went to the bathroom. She stared at herself in the mirror and saw a loving mother who clearly would do anything for her son. The sight of thick white ropes of cum lined on her face was so arousing. The watery parts of his load dripped down to her big matronly tits, neck and shoulders. She began swooping the cum off her tits and putting the globs of sperm in her mouth. Not realizing she didn't close the door behind her, she continued to scoop the larger patches. Naruto stood in the door of the bathroom, staring at his mother eating the cum that he just shot all over her. He began jerking at his semi-hard as he continued to watch. Her legs looked beautiful, soaked in baby oil in her 6 inches heels. Kushina noticed Naruto staring at her in the bathroom mirror. For a second, she was embarrassed to be caught scooping her son's cum into her mouth, but she quickly started getting even more aroused. She smiled devilishly at her son through the slimy cum that was still pasted on her face. Naruto raced up behind his naughty mother and roughly bent her over the sink. He flipped up the oil-soaked schoolgirl skirt and slid his large growing right into her round. Kushina yelped loudly and grabbed the edge of the sink for support. Kushina almost exploded right there. Naruto forced in and out slowly as he watched her face in the bathroom mirror. "Mom, keep doing what you were doing. Keep eating my cum," Naruto said as he pumped his mother's tight. The sight before him made him rock hard in seconds. Kushina shivered a bit as she felt her son slowly sink his balls deep in her glorious butt. She took her large right breast and brought it up to her mouth. She then began scraping the droplets of cum off her tits with her long sexy tongue. Before swallowing, she would stick out her tongue far so that he could see how dirty she could be. Suddenly Naruto began his perfect mother hard and fast. Kushina looked at herself in the mirror as she was getting railed. Her hair and tits bounced in unison while the rest of the sticky cum that was on her face began to fly all over the place. "Why do you say we take this to the hot tub, my sexy birthday boy?" Kushina said after she swallowed another mouthful. Minutes later, Kushina was riding her son hard as jets of the hot tub were bubbling away. Over the next hour, the hot mother and strong son were all over the hotel suite. On the bed and completely drained, Kushina leaned in and kissed Naruto softly on his cheek. "Are you excited to go to Disneyland next week?" Kushina asked as she traced her hand over his six-pack abs with her finger. "You bet. Are we going to be able to, have time together alone?" Naruto asked. "Oh, I think we will find ways to get rid of your father when needed." Kushina replied as her hand found its way down to Naruto's nutsack. She seductively dragged her fingernails across the skin. "Good," Naruto said, smiling from ear to ear. "We should think about getting home. You came hard 2 times tonight, baby. Is my little Oedipus satisfied? Maybe one more before we go to my Jocasta-like goddess?" Naruto asked while giving a few tugs. Clearly, he didn't want the night to end. "Jesus baby. I can't believe how horny you are. Kind of sore thanks to you," she said as she engulfed into her wet mouth. Kushina dragged her tongue all over his head and then spent extra time licking away at his used balls. "Tell me when you're going to bust again, baby," Kushina said right before she put Naruto's testicles back into her mouth. When Naruto got close to coming, Kushina quickly sat up on her knees between his legs. She leaned her head down so she hovered over his steel. Kushina shifted her beautiful red hair so it all draped down the right side of her face. This causes her long hair to engulf her son's. Naruto's eyes shot up when his mother grabbed her hair around it. "Come in my hair, sweetie. Blow that sticky stuff in my hair," Kushina said as her jerking hand beat his hair. Kushina had a perverted yet wild look in her eyes. Naruto lasted about 10 firm pumps and blasted. He shivered and shook hard as his third load of the night released. He was extra sensitive and winced hard when she dragged his spewing head through her flowing hair. The hair around Kushina's hand gunked up quickly. "I told you, baby. Mommy is your cum dump." Naruto looked up at the ceiling and let out one last satisfying groan. So friends, this was part 3 of this emotional and forbidden love story. If you enjoyed it and want the next part soon, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also comment down your thoughts. Do you think Naruto and Kushina can keep hiding their feelings, or will everything finally come to light? I'll see you in the next part.